Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Lone Road iRacers podcast, where we deep dive into the corners, straights, and stories of the sim racing universe. I'm your host, Guy Robertson, and today we're celebrating a massive moment in the world of virtual motorsport. The 2025 Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup season has officially wrapped, and the crown goes to none other than Cooper Webster of Oracle Red Bull Sim Racing, your new PESC champion. And he didn't just take the title, he took it in style with a commanding clutch performance at none other than Le Mans. Yeah, that Le Mans. So today we're taking a deep dive into Cooper Webster's path to the title, the rivals he outpaced, the pressure he thrived under, what this win means for sim racing's top tier championship and the future of the sport itself. So settle in, hit the focus button, and let's get into it. The 2025 Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup season kicked off back in January with the kind of unpredictability that only this series can deliver. And in that chaos, one name emerged with clarity, and that was Cooper Webster. His campaign began with a photo finish win at Daytona, and not just any win. We're talking about one of those blink and you'll miss it endings that gets clipped, replayed and debated for weeks. That win gave him more than just points, it gave him momentum and, more importantly, belief. That belief carried through a season of tracks that tested every aspect of a driver's skill set. We saw tight street circuits, wide high-speed monsters, technical layouts with no room for error, and through it all, Webster kept showing up round after round with consistency. No huge crashes, no desperate lunges, no big mistakes. Just points week after week. While others were fighting for headlines, Cooper was building something stronger, a title campaign. This wasn't a year where the field was shallow though, not even close. In fact, 2025 might have been one of the strongest PESC grids we've ever seen. You had Sebastian Job, a former champion, always fast, always methodical. The kind of driver who doesn't just race, he orchestrates races. Then there's Diogo Pinto, the strategic master. He's the guy you can never count out because he's always 2 steps ahead. What about Jordan Caruso? Punchy, aggressive, and never afraid to take a risk. And then you've got Alexandro Sanchez, the overtaking artist, always a threat, especially in races where the field is bunched up. These are drivers who've won races and who've been in this title fight before. Webster didn't just edge them out, he outlasted them. He found a way to stay one notch more composed, more focused, and even more consistent. And while some had higher highs, they also had lower lows. And Webster avoided that trap, and in the end, it made all the difference. Now, as we know, Webster has wrapped it all up at Le Mans, so we're going to talk about that specifically. If you're going to win your first career race in any championship, why not do it on one of the most legendary circuits in motorsport history, right? That's exactly what Cooper's done. Le Mans is a beast. The straights are long, the braking zones are brutal. The draft can either save you or destroy you. And in a PESC final where everyone is throwing everything they've got, you better be flawless. And that's exactly how Cooper Webster drove, flawless. Starting on pole position, he controlled the pace like a veteran. He absorbed pressure lap after lap from the chasing pack, Caruso, Sanchez and others all hungry, all ready to pounce. But Webster, he never blinked. You could see how composed he was under braking, his exits were tight, his decision-making in traffic, elite. This just wasn't just a win, this was a statement. He didn't look out this title, he earned it with precision, grit, and a sense of timing that champions are made of. Now, let's just think for a minute and reflect. What kind of mindset do you need to become a champion? Because what separates a fast driver from a champion is what's going on upstairs. Webster showed all season that he had the mental game locked in. After 41 races without a win, a lesser driver might have cracked, might have tried to force something, overdrive, overthink and get a little bit desperate. But Cooper Webster, he trusted the process. He stayed cool as a cucumber. He stayed hungry. And then, when that moment came, at Le Mans in front of the sim racing world, he executed. That's mental toughness, listeners. That's championship DNA. He didn't just survive the pressure, he fed off it. And at just 21 years old, that's something scary for the rest of the grid. Because if this is where he's at now, just imagine where he's going to be in 5 years' time. So what does this all mean for the PESC Championship itself? This win also speaks volumes about the direction of the Porsche Heuer Esports Supercup itself. We're seeing a new generation rise up, drivers who grew up watching Job, Boutilou, Rogers and now want to be the next chapter in the long-running story. And Cooper Webster, he's just become that new standard. For Oracle Red Bull Sim Racing, this is validation. The sim racing program is working. They've nurtured talent, built infrastructure, and now they've got a title to show for it. But maybe more importantly, it shows the world that sim racing isn't just a stepping stone anymore. It is a destination, it is where real competition lives. So where do we go from here? Cooper Webster is the 2025 PESC champion. His first win was his biggest win, and the way he got there, pure class. To every young sim racer watching, he just sent a clear message. It's not about being flashy, it's about being focused, being consistent and playing the long game. And to the rest of the field, the bar just got raised. So we're going to start our second topic in a minute, and I thought we would have a whole podcast linked to PESC. So this second section is going to be around the history of PESC, when did it start, etc, etc. So don't go away, folks, we'll be right back. Dre is the audible iRacers companion. Want to improve your results or get more wins? Download Dre, the digital race engineer. Hit the link in the show notes for a 10% discount. Welcome back to our second part of today's podcast, folks. Alright, we're going to shift gears now. We've celebrated Cooper Webster's sensational championship moment, but let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. How did we get here? How did PESC, the Porsche Heuer Esports Supercup, become the pinnacle of sim racing? Because, believe it or not, this didn't start with TV cameras, six-figure prize pools or factory-sponsored esports teams. It started with a vision and a bold partnership between two giants in their respective spaces, Porsche and iRacing. This is the story of how PESC was born, the champions who defined it, the sim races it inspired, and why this series has changed the landscape of competitive sim racing forever. Let's rewind to late 2018. Sim racing was already growing. Titles like iRacing, R-Factor 2 and Assetto Corsa were building dedicated followings. The esports scene was bubbling, but it hadn't yet hit the kind of scale or structure we see today. Enter Porsche. The legendary German manufacturer has been flirting with the world of sim racing experimenting with virtual events and exploring esports partnerships. But now they wanted to go all in. Excuse me again. And if they were going to do it, they wanted to do it with the best. So they turned to iRacing, known for its laser scan tracks, highly detailed physics, and unparalleled competitive environment. Together they created the Porsche Esports Supercup, launched officially in April 2019. The format, a 10-round championship featuring 40 of the world's top sim racers, all driving the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car. The goal was simple but ambitious: to build a global, pro-level, one-make racing championship in the virtual world, with a kind of prestige and professionalism typically reserved for the likes of Formula E or GT3 racing. And from day one, it worked. The inaugural season in 2019 immediately made waves. All eyes were on Joshua Rogers, the young Australian driving for Coanda Simsport, and man did he deliver. Rogers combined raw pace with racecraft well beyond his years, dominating the season and winning the title with authority. His story was a stuff of sim racing dreams, a young relative unknown driver rising through iRacing's Pro Series, then going toe-to-toe with the best and coming out on top. His title immediately gave PESC legitimacy. Then came Sebastian Job in 2020. Representing Red Bull Racing Esports, Job brought fire, style and intensity. He was vocal, aggressive and fearless on track. His championship battle with Rogers that year created one of sim racing's first true rivalries and drew in a ton of new fans. In 2021, Rogers reclaimed the throne. He was smoother, smarter, more efficient. The rivalry with Job continued, but Rogers found another gear. 2 titles in 3 years made him a certified sim racing legend. Then came Diogo Pinto in 2022 and Jordan Caruso in 2023. Both more measured, consistent drivers who won through strategy and resilience, showing that different styles could win in PESC. Each season evolved the meta and inspired others. By the time Cooper Webster came around in 2025, the series already had a pantheon, a class of elite sim racers whose names were well known beyond the virtual paddock. So what makes PESC different? Well, it isn't just about the prize money, though that was significant and has grown from $100,000 to well over $200,000 in recent seasons. It wasn't just about the car either, though the 911 GT3 Cup was a great equaliser. A car without ABS or traction control that punished mistakes but rewarded perfect laps. What really made it different was that PESC felt real. You had live broadcasts with professional commentators, production teams and full race day coverage. Factory-backed teams like Coanda, Red Bull Racing, BNS Plus Competition and Team Redline, with training regimes, coaching and analytics. Real-world connections. Porsche even invited PESC champions to guest drive at events like the Porsche Carrera Cup and Porsche Experience Centres. And more importantly, there was a ladder. To make it into PESC, you couldn't just sign up. You had to earn your license through the iRacing Road to Pro system, climbing through qualifying series and taking on the best of the best. This structure added gravity. It made PESC a goal, not just a tournament. And that structure, that legitimacy, it changed lives. Sim racers who never thought a career in racing was possible suddenly had pathways. Sebastian Job got invited to Porsche track days and became a coach. Joshua Rogers went on to win real-world sim competitions like the VCO Cup of Nations and became a household name in sim endurance racing. Diogo Pinto, once relatively unknown, became a full-time Team Redline driver, racing alongside Formula 1 talents like Max Verstappen and Lando Norris in sim events. And even beyond the champions, PESC inspired a whole generation of drivers. You'd see 14-year-olds on iRacing forums asking how to qualify for the Porsche qualifying series. Twitch streams of PESC qualifiers would hit tens of thousands of views. People cared. It became not just a series, but a movement. Now let's talk a bit about the tech side, because PESC pushing iRacing to evolve too. New tracks like Hockenheim, Imola and Red Bull Ring were added to support the growing international flair. Real-world Porsche engineers consulted on car handling models to ensure authenticity. iRacing's broadcast tools got massive upgrades to keep up with the professional standards of the series. And with every season, Porsche and iRacing had raised the bar. In 2025, you're seeing PESC on sports channels. You're seeing manufacturers using esports as a recruiting ground. You're seeing real-world drivers, even those in Formula 4 or GT4, joining iRacing to test their mettle. The line between sim and real has blurred, and it's all started with a GT3 Cup car and a bold idea. So what's next, folks? With Cooper Webster's title win, the torch has officially been passed to a new generation, but the mission remains the same: to create the most competitive, most authentic, most inspiring sim racing championship on the planet. There will be new names, new rivalries and new champions, but PESC has already done something that few esports series have ever managed to do. It's built legacy, and for sim racers everywhere, it's also built hope. That's something special. So if you're listening to this right now and dreaming of making it to PESC, keep grinding. Keep learning, because someone out there is already working to be the next Webster, the next Job, the next Rogers. And maybe that someone is you. So never give up your dreams. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. I dedicated this to the PESC because I thought we've been following the season this year on all the podcasts. I thought we'd also cover the backstory as well. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to pass it on to your fellow iRacers, friends and family. Wherever you see fit, leave some feedback wherever you pick the podcast up. And don't forget to check out the YouTube version as well. The link's always in the show notes. If you're interested in being a co-host, I'm still looking for co-hosts, maybe one, maybe two. Please feel free to email me and reach out to me on social media. Until then, folks, happy iRacing, and I'll see you on the track soon.